Oh, you guys can't hear me this whole time I've been talking? I'm sorry. I mean, you must have muted myself out by accident. Um, Welcome everybody. Coming to you live from MGM Studios in Las Vegas, Nevada. Just kidding. Practicing my announcement skills. I'm not doing very well at it today. All right. We are rocking and rolling here. It is January 2nd, 2026, and crypto is moving finally. Let me share my screen, get this over to the other side. Wow, XRP pumping. Yeah, can't say I didn't see that happening. Look at that. What's happening? XRP breaking, it broke the resistance here that we talked about on Wednesday. It's coming up to this little apex, broke it, it broke through it and then broke below it, and then just pumped right above it and still holding support in this upward trend line. And then it wicked all the way up to the overall downward trending resistance line that I talked about, and that we need to get through that. In fact, here's my red line that's still there from the other day. And we get over that, we hold the support, we get through this, we hold the support, and we get up to this $2.05 range, or it just could just go straight to it. I mean, that's obviously looking like that might be happening as well. Hopefully you guys were in on that. I've actually been long on Bitcoin and XRP since the 21st. If we go back in the trade signal channel all the way back up to the 21st is when I gave the signal, but it's just been sideways and stagnant ever since. And it was just kind of doing nothing. Here it is, long BTC XRP, current open positions, possibly looking like a slow breakout of the downward trending. And this is what was kind of happening. It did break out of the downward trending, but it did not pump. It just kind of went sideways for a while. And so that's kind of where we've been in that. And so the only other thing I had, I think, back here was I had I was also short on Bitcoin at the same time. I was hedging. So I reversed that position, which added to my long a little bit, but go back. I don't have a lot of contracts on that. I mean, I was at high leverage, so I'm not risking much money at all on Bitcoin. So here's what I think is going to happen. Like I said on Wednesday and then probably on Monday as well, I think this is the expiry, the Bitcoin expiry coming to fruition, money having to move out, people getting their, expirations liquidated and whatnot, and money pumping. As I was saying, I think it was just the other day, right here. Options expired today. This was last Friday, so 1 week ago. The fallout will be over the coming few days. Max pain is at 96K, meaning market makers would make more money if they pump BTC to 96K. However, the sweep could bring it as low as 76K, but it might not happen. XRP to about $1.65. But again, the market makers will make more money if they move the price up, not down. My prediction is BTC back to around 100K and XRP to about 205 going into the new year next week. Here we go. This is what's happening right now. Boom. We're up to $1.98 we just hit. And I have a feeling we're going to go right up to this red line, which is this overall zone that I had here for a while. It was support and resistance here. That's right around exactly at the 205, 206 range. Now I'm hoping we break right through that and just keep going. I really am. But here's going to be where the catalyst. So let's go back to Bitcoin and look at Bitcoin, because this is the downward trending overall resistance, falling wedge that Bitcoin has been in since its all-time high up here of 126. And it came down as low as 80K, 80,500 here. and started to wind up. It got back into the wedge, and then it broke out of the wedge. And this is what I was talking about. This is when I went long back on the 21st or so, and it just went sideways. It just went sideways, sideways, but it's staying on the top of the upward trending support. So that means it's heading north, it's heading up, and it did break out. But let's look at something very interesting. I pointed this out on the webinar last night, which I thought was interesting. If we look at Bitcoin and we go all the way back to the previous breakout when we had this falling wedge, I think I'm got to get on the daily. All right. So we had back here in January, we had a falling wedge, very similar to the one we have right now. And we came down and we wicked through the bottom of the support level of the falling wedge and wicked all the way down and retested previous resistance before we broke out. But look what happened when we broke out. When we finally broke out of the downward trending resistance, we went sideways for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days. And on the 9th day, pump. Interesting. I noticed this last night when I was talking. This looks very similar. We went down and we broke through the bottom of the downward trending resistance and wicked all the way down to previous support, 80K, which is right here. Not all the way down to there, but to this level. We broke out and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days that we've been going sideways after the breakout. Very similar to this little situation right here.
Now, do you think it's because they pump more money into the system, as when we talked about them turning on the machines and pressing up more dollars, they just started pumping more money into the system now and giving the banks money?
It's hard to know really exactly what causes a pump, but there's a lot happening. The Federal Reserve chairman injecting billions, the Clarity Act unanimously probably going to get approved coming up here in a couple of weeks. The combination of the reverse carry trade unwinding, people moving money, paying off their debt, moving money into risk, I guess, I don't know what they would call risk assets, but I guess away from the dollar and away from other assets back into crypto. But me personally, I think most of this is just from what I just explained a minute ago, which was the options expire that happened. So the biggest expiry ever, December 26th, $23 billion of options expired last Friday. Okay. What does that mean? That means that all the calls are clustered at 100K to 120K. Puts are concentrated around 85K. Calls are longs, puts are shorts. Max pain is 96K. One of the biggest Bitcoin options expiry events of all time just happened. Now, what does that mean? That means that usually what happens is that when that happens, it's kind of like I gave the example of you being on an express roadway and bumper to bumper traffic, and there's an accident up ahead and the traffic's moving very slowly. And then by the time you get up to where the accident is, all the cars were free to go the whole time. I mean, all accidents moved off the expressway, but everybody's still going slow because they want to see what happened. And then once they pass the accident, everybody speeds up and starts to go fast again. You ever notice that? The looky-loos have to stop and see what's going on. But everyone could have been going fast 20 minutes ago. This is kind of what happens when options expire. So, the wreckage is happened, but everyone is hesitant to move for a few days. It takes a few days, maybe even up to a week, before money starts to get liquidated and money starts to move, and the powers that be, the hedge funds, the institutions say, try to decide which direction to move the market for themselves to make the most money. And my prediction was, as I said here, that they would make the most money if they pump BTC up to 96K. The market makers will make more money if they move the price up, not down. So my prediction is, so what I'm seeing here is basically the fallout from the Bitcoin options expiry.
How long do they have to, like you said, it expires? What? So it already expired. So why now is I get what you said, the with that analogy or whatever, but why why did they have to wait for it to expire before they move the market, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Well, it's like they're waiting to see who moves first. Are people going to dump? Are people going to close out their positions? Or is everybody just sitting waiting to see who moves first? Is the price going to drop and liquidate them, or is it going to go up? Are they going to be safe, the people in the longs? What about the people in the shorts? They're worried that the price could dump down and liquidate them, so they're sitting there waiting. Why isn't the price isn't moving? Nothing's happening. Right here was the expiration. Right here, what's going on? It did pump a little bit Monday of this week, and then came back down and just kind of grinded. This could have been it right here. This could have been the big pump. This might just be another pump to this level, but I think that it's kind of like three groups of people: the buyers, the sellers, and the institutions, all sitting there looking at each other, saying, "Who's going to draw first?" And then they decide. It just takes a minute for some reason. I don't know. My analogy that I gave is my best analogy of why, when this happens, what it seems like is happening, but there could be other things going on behind the scenes. But the big players, the institutions, aren't going to lose money. They're going to see which way they need to move the market to maximize. And I think, from what I understand, max pain is at 96K, which is right about here, up at this support and resistance level.
Max pain for retail.
Yep, to squeeze all those longs out. So it would hit that and come back down. And so then what it would look like on the big scale, and this is why I don't think this is, a parabolic move to brand new all-time highs, 150,000 Bitcoin. I don't think that's going to happen. And what I think might happen, like I've explained a couple of times, is that we break out, we come up here, we break above this wedge. Maybe we hold support here and we hit that 96K. Maybe we even get all the way up to 108, which is this previous support and resistance level up here. And then that would be the beginning of the bear market.
Looking like a nice head and shoulders there.
Exactly. And the reason why I think that is, it's not because we can't break a new all-time high, because I hope that happens. It's that, historically speaking, that would be a perfect head and shoulder, right? And from this level would also possibly be the beginning, if we did break to the downside of this, that would be huge. And where would that bring us? That would bring us right down to 31.5 in a bear market. Now, that's only if we have the typical bull market and bear market cycles. Now, why is that important? Well, because if you take a line and draw it at 31.5 and bring it over, this was major support and resistance that never got retested. So we have 31.5, we hit it, broke through it, held as support back in 2021. We hit an all-time high. We came down and held as support there. We double topped at 68K, and then we dropped all the way down there, support. We had another run for it, very similar to what we're doing right now. This was the bull market top. This was the falling wedge. This was the breakout, and we could not make a new higher high. Very similarly, We have basically a head and shoulders, and then we dropped and we broke below this line and retested it as resistance, and then fell in the bear market all the way down to 15,000. And on the way back up in this bull market that we're in right now, we hit it, resistance, hit it, resistance, resistance, hit it, resistance, went through and never retested. We never retested this level. And that is that's not normal. That's not proper market structure. And usually when this happens, kind of like a CME gap, generally speaking, and I was telling Bill and some other people, Jessica, people who've been in here for a long time, I was saying this a year ago that we're going to come back and retest that 31K either before the bull market or sometime after in the next bear market. And I'm not saying we're going to go that low, but that is what would happen if we broke this 70K level. If this turns into a head and shoulders and we break 70K to the downside, then that's probably where we could go. Now, and by the way, what percentage of a drop would that be from the all-time high? Let's just look at it. That would be from 126 all the way down to there. That would be 76%. Why is that important? Well, let's just look at this drop from the top all the way down to the bear market bottom. 78%. Let's look at all the other ones. I know I do this often on these calls, guys, so I don't want to bore you guys with the same information, but every bull market to bear market top to the bottom, 80%.
Hey, Nico, if we look at the stochastic and the RSI, it seems
80%.
like we're hugely oversold. Shouldn't
90%.
we be seeing a little bit of a pump on Bitcoin?
Yeah, we are seeing a little pump on Bitcoin. Let's look at that.
And that's on the weekly, right? We always look at the weekly.
RSI, I'm going to put the regular RSI and the stochastic RSI up. Yeah, if you go to the weekly, what we wanted to see on the stochastic RSI is the blue line cross the orange line to the upside, which it did, but they both need to get above this dotted line for it to really matter. And if we look at the price, we do have a nice pump on the weekly, breaking out of this downward trending falling wedge. This is the pump. We got a blue line crossing the orange line to the upside. That's bullish. And on the regular RSI, it is coming up from the floor.
Is there a way to calculate what Bitcoin would be at if we cross that 20 line, or is that just?
Well, I'm saying it won't be over the all-time high. It'll be somewhere between 95K and 105K maybe. Here's what here's all I think I need to know is that if you look at the RSI here on the weekly, it's bearish divergence. We're down on the floor. We almost came below that level. Let's just look at the last. If we go to the last bear market here, we have this very same bearish divergence happening, meaning we had a higher from this peak right here. We had 41K, and then we went up to 64K, and then we went up to 68K. So we had a high, higher high, and a higher high. Here we had a high, lower high, and lower high. And then even a lower high and a low, but then obviously we did not have a higher high. So we had a lower high. That was the beginning of the bear market. That's when we broke this floor and dropped. And here, when that happened, as soon as we came up and retested right here and fell below the orange or the yellow line, which is the moving average, and we got down to the floor area down here. I mean, that happened here where we got to this level and bounced. That's where we're at right here, this level, and bounced. That's kind of where we're at right here, bouncing and breaking out. So all we're doing is we're right here breaking out. We bounced on the floor. We're breaking out. We're coming back up. It has not got above this yellow line yet, but it looks like it's trying to, which is the moving average. But see here, when we got above that yellow line, we still did not make a higher high. We hit that yellow line and that was it. We couldn't get any higher. That was a nice head and shoulders. So right here, if we do it here and we pump up to the 94.95, maybe even all the way up to 106, it's going to look like this, kind of like what I was just talking about in lower time frames. Head and shoulder, this might get all the way up to here. That's possible. But if it doesn't make a higher high, it's continuation of bearish divergence. If this doesn't make a higher high, meaning get above 126, well, first of all, if that happens and we just pump and we get above 126, then this will most likely break this downward trending support resistance line. And that would make a higher high. And then that would indicate a potential super cycle and the end of this bearish divergence and a possible run up to new highs in January, which has never happened in the history of Bitcoin. It didn't happen here. And the only other time that we had bearish divergence, it didn't happen either. And that was back somewhere, can't remember. I think before these even charts were counting, but it only happened like one other time, two other times besides the current time where we had bearish divergence first of all always ends in a bear market. Generally means the beginning of the end when you have bearish divergence. And we've had bearish divergence going all the way back to last year, a year ago. We just kept making higher highs and on the RSI lower highs. But generally speaking, that usually is an indication that the top is in. So if the top is in, that would be 126. Now, the other thing that I look at, go to the 12-month chart. Remember I was talking about this candle right here, this 12-month candle, and we only had so many days left. And here we are. Let me just get rid of all these lines for the time being. This candle right here, before December 31st, we were saying that when the clock counts down December 31st or January 1st, whatever the top was of this candle is usually the top of the bull market. Historically, that's been the case. We go back and look. The bull market top is this candle right here. It's down the 12-month time frame. And then we have a bear market, 1 year down and 3 years up. One, 2, 3, 4. Here's the fourth candle. That's the bull market top. 1 year down, 3 years up, bull market top. 1 year down, 3 years up, bull market top. Historically, that's always been the case. And this candle, the one that just started on January 1st, which now has 11 months and 30 days left of it to go, historically has gone up a little bit from the time it starts. You see that wick right there? You see that wick right there? See that wick right there? It has gone up, but it has never gone up higher than this. So this candle is green. And this is the weird part also. This candle ended red. That's also a first. Every candle in the previous bull markets ended green. So, whoops. What is this? I don't even know how I did that.
Could that just be because of the option expiration that it caused that?
Well, I mean, it was below 94K even before the expiration. It needed to close above this line right here at 94K in order for it to end green. And it closed below that previous candle's high. And now this candle, and by the way, we went all the way to 87K. This candle opened at 87K and has gone up. So historically, that's always happened. This candle The red one here has gone up since it closed, since the previous one closed, but it just never has gone up higher than the previous candle. So what I'm saying is that we could go up all the way up to 105, 106, maybe even 110, but unlikely to go up higher than 126. Unless this time is different, unless there's some catalyst that can change this whole bull market, bear market cycle and put us into a put us in some type of super cycle situation, which people have talked about for years, but no one's ever seen. So I think we are getting a pump right now, and I think this candle will go up before it goes down. The question is, and now here's the thing, guys. So if this candle does go up and we actually do get higher than the 126 of the previous candle, that will be a first in history, Bitcoin's history, that's ever happened. And that would mean something different is happening this time. So how will we know? Well, we'll know if the price gets higher than the previous candle. If we make a new all-time high in the beginning of a new year, which is normally the beginning of a bear market, if we make a new high, then that means that this is different. Things are different. The Clarity Act and all that stuff could change a lot of things and could cause a lot of exuberant buying pressure to come into the market, but will it bring it up that high is the question. So a lot of things have to happen for that to happen. And I would say that if we go back down to the weekly and we look at the RSIs, the RSI would have to get, this one would have to get above this line right here. Whoops. It would have to get above that yellow line, and we got a ways to go for that. And on the stochastic RSI, it would have to get above this dotted line, both the blue line and the orange line. It would have to get above the 20. And if that happens, by the way, on the weekly, guys, look at this. It doesn't happen very often that we're down here at this level and then we get above this line. But every time that happens, just look at the price. So I'm going to hold my mouse here. Just look at the dotted line going straight up to the price. As soon as the blue line crosses the orange line to the orange side and gets above this dotted line, boom, 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 pump. Here again, down here at this level, blue line finally crosses the orange line to the upside and gets above this dotted line, pump to the upside. Here again, blue line crosses the orange line to the upside, has a little hiccup right here, breaks out and gets above this line, big pump to the upside. So, you know, could we do this where we just kind of fizzle out, or is it going to keep climbing? Back here, you see, the blue line crossed the orange line to the upside, fizzled out. Blue line crossed the orange line to the upside, fizzled out. Blue line crossed the orange line to the upside, fizzled out. It's got to get above this dotted line. And when that happened, boom, boom. So these indicators down here can definitely help you see it before it happens. You got to kind of just pay attention to that and don't get overly excited when you see it moving in the right direction. There is 2 days and 7 hours left of this on the weekly time frame to see what happens. And that brings us to Sunday night, midnight USDT time. But I think we certainly could get up to 95, 96, the max pain level we just talked about. And maybe if we break through this line and hold as support above 94, 95, then we could see an attempt up here, and that could change everything for sure. But if we don't, and I know it's a lot of ifs, guys, because I don't have a crystal ball. It's if this, then that. If this happens, then this could happen. And if that happens, if we get above that, then that means that this line might be being broken down here. Might be for the first time, bearish divergence gets broken and we hold as support there and we start to climb, then this starts to really get up here. Yeah, that would change everything. That would mean that this time is different. For the first time, I could say this time is different. The cycle's broken. We're not going into a bear market. Or maybe this was the bear market from 126 down to 80. That's a 40% drop, by the way. That's 50% of the way. Another 40% would bring us down to the 30K zone. That would be like, that would be a 50% drop as a bear market rather than a 70 or 80% like normal. So I look at all this and I'm like, okay, well, I am long right now because I have a feeling we are going to have a little bit of a exciting pump to the upside. But don't get me wrong. If I see us hitting max pain or somewhere between 96 and 108, I know that's a big difference. That's a $10,000 difference. But if we can't make a higher high above this shoulder over here, and we start to come back down after that, and it would look like this, and we start to come back to this line, and we're about to break it back down below that 95, 96 zone. A lot of things are breaking when that happens. We have this local support line. We have this long running support line. And then where would it go after that? Possibly down. And then it would have to hold here, which would be back at the 80K. It would have to hold on this white solid upward trending support line that goes all the way back to 2011. We've been above it ever since. But if it breaks that, that's when I'm going to be mega short all the way down to like 30K. That'll be that's worst case scenario bear market territory. And that's where you're going to accumulate and make the most money if that happens. A lot of people worry about that, but that's where you can actually make more money. Because you're doing the opposite of the masses. You're taking advantage of the drop. You're accumulating, whether you're doing it on the Bitcoin margin or USDT margin. If you're doing it on a Bitcoin margin, you're accumulating a lot of Bitcoin on the way down. And then when it turns and bounces and it finally done dropping and the bear market's considered over and we finally start to get some. And how will we know that? Well, kind of simply down here on the RSI, on the weekly. This was the last bear market right here. We broke out. Let me get rid of this. We broke out of the downward trending support from the top. Chad and I, in this group, we were calling the bottom here at 17K. It broke out, and then it dropped all the way down to 15.5 and retested. But that's not what we were really looking at. We were looking at the RSI down here. This was the bearish divergence. We had a top, a lower high, and here is where it broke out. Boom. Right here, broke out. But then it came back down and retested this previous resistance as support, 15.5, and bounced. That's when we knew, okay, that's when you go long. So you take that short money you made, and then you go long with leverage and you ride this whole thing back up in the next bull market. And if you're able to time that right, guys, fortunes will be made here. Because what it'll look like here is very similarly, we will eventually maybe come up to the 96 to 10K, like 108, like I said, and maybe we go into a bear market. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but this is what it would look like. We come below this line, very similar to what happened here. And then we finally break out here. And then retest, hold what previous resistance as support, beginning of bull market. And this is in August of 2027 range. After the price has done this, finally come up. If you go long here, that would be equivalent to going long here. $5,000, $10,000 here was an 8x from the bottom to the top, 739% move to the upside with no leverage. Add 10x, 20x leverage to that. That's ridiculous. Now that's a long-term play. That's a stay in for a long time play. And I'm sure some of you would get antsy at some point because we get, let's say it went up to here and then pulled back. You'd get scared right there. You'd want to take your profit, or it pulled up, or, you know, right here, we went up to 73 and it's starting to come all the way down to 48K. I mean, that's a lot of profit you're seeing go away. I mean, you're up huge from here, but to stay in the game takes discipline and diamond hands. It's difficult. It's easy for me to say. It's very hard for people to do. Just imagine, I always talk about those 10 wallets that were discovered. 10 wallets with $1 billion worth of Bitcoin in each one that were dormant for 10 years. People knew the wallets existed. They saw them. Then no one knew who owned them or what. But there was like 1,000 Bitcoins or something like that, or 2,000 Bitcoins in each wallet, and they were bought when Bitcoin was like $13 a Bitcoin or something like that. And Bitcoin went up to 126,000, 120,000. The wallets became active. They were not dormant anymore, and they were moving hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. And that might have been a sign. In hindsight, looking back, why would these 10 wallets hold that long and then finally go active and start selling off Bitcoin when Bitcoin hit 120K? Did they know something that we didn't know? I would suggest yes, probably. Who are these 10 wallets that just so happen to have $1 billion in each wallet? And they sat through all the ups and downs of the past 10 years. Could you imagine knowing that you could have pulled 200 million off the table back here somewhere? And you didn't, and you just waited for all these ups and downs over a 10-year period before your wallet got to $1 billion, and then you finally sold? Why? Why are they selling then?
You must have had a lot of money that they was already sitting on.
Yeah, or they knew something. They knew when the time was coming that they would just
Now, how do you think the market is going to get affected with this whole federal tax and the announcement being made that, you know, again coming up again? People don't want to pay the feds, and Trump also announcing that again now in 2026 that they're going to get rid of the feds.
from what I understand, there's going to be no tax. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean. No tax at all. Correct.
I mean, that's a positive. That's, yeah. I mean, I can never guess. I mean, I can guess, but I can never tell you what's going to happen based on fundamental news or, you know, things being said out there, because I've seen amazing things that should be catalysts, that should cause the market to pump.
$5. I left 6.
And nothing happened.
5 is a
So I've seen amazing news announcements, amazing laws passed and things like that, and the market did nothing. So it's very difficult to say. I mean, I've seen Trump get on stage at the biggest Bitcoin conference in the world last year, and as soon as he started talking positive about Bitcoin, it dropped $20,000 in value. Things just don't make sense sometimes. But then again, that was before he was the president, and the government at the time under the Biden administration seized apparently like a couple $100 million worth of Bitcoin, or I can't remember exactly how much it was. And they decided to sell. This is how evil that previous administration was. They actually sold to try to make Trump look bad, and not caring one bit about the people who are invested in that. Not to mention trying to kill him and 10 other things, but why? Well, it's all coming out why now, guys. I mean, look at all the fraud that was happening under the people that were going to be the vice president of the United States. Tim Walz in Michigan, in Minnesota. Billions of dollars of healthcare fraud going into the Somalis local community. I don't have anything against Somali people. It's just kind of strange that all of that was happening under their nose and they didn't benefit. Of course they benefited. Elon Omar net worth went up $60 million in a very short period of time. Why would this young lady who happens to be a representative of a state get that rich in such a short period of time? Why are any of these politicians getting super rich by just being in office? Because they're all
Pelosi?
They're all in the take. It's all fraud. It's all scam against us, the taxpayers. And so people are fed up with it. People are discovering what's happening. And there's a protest, I think, happening right now, a tax protest.
Someone's debt is somebody's income.
That's right. And so there's a lot coming out right now. I don't care if you like Trump or hate him. He's exposing the cockroaches under the carpet. And, that might get messy in the beginning. That might be a mess to deal with, right? But you got to clean out what's under the rug first before you can get back to normal. And so things could get worse first before they get better. That's what we say, that, well, if all this good stuff is happening, why is gas prices this? Why is the stock not going up? Why is this? Because when the shit hits the fan, it's messy before you clean it up. Things get messy first. We could have a stock market crash. We could have stagflation, inflation, job loss. We could have all kinds of things happen just based on the announcement that the shit is hitting the fan. The boss is coming into the office. He hasn't been here in a year. He's going to come in and tear us a new asshole. You just look at all the analogies that relate to this. Imagine if you're a company and look what happened with Twitter when Elon Musk bought it. He took over and fired half of everybody because they were doing nothing. He realized where all the waste was. And everybody thought that he was some kind of evil tyrant, new boss. But really, if you buy a company and you find out half your employees are at home jerking off, excuse the language, but not doing any work whatsoever and have no input whatsoever towards the value of the company. And he's like Trump. I mean, these are business people. They know how to run companies. They fire people quick. Trump was famous for firing people. He created a television show, was number one on TV, where he just fired people for not doing a good job. And as a previous business owner that had 150 employees at one time, it was the worst part of the job, but it had to be done almost every day. Incompetence has to go. And there was no such thing back then when I was doing that, of DEI and fairness in the workplace and hiring people based on the color of their skin and hiring people based on their nationality, because you got to have an equal amount of this many people and this many. That's all bullshit. How about hire people who have the skill set for the job? And so if you disagree with me on that, I'm sorry, but that seems like common sense. So now the governor of New York, or the new mayor, whatever his name is, the socialist Islamic guy, he just hired a DEA, the chief of the fire department, who is LGBTQ, to run the fire department. Now, how do you think that the brave men and women of the New York City Fire Department are going to feel that now they got to be led by someone who was hired just because they were trying to meet a quota on having a certain balance of people in their leadership, instead of someone who actually knows what the fuck they're doing? Excuse my language. I'm swearing a little bit more than normal here, guys, because this shit pisses me off. But anyway.
He also has a hairdresser running. I forgot if it's some other part of the
all good, Nico. All good.
Yeah, I got no problems with Muslims. I got no problems with gay people. I got no problems with any group of people. But there's some issues with this whole hiring people based on those categories so that they can be fair to other religions, other nationalities, other skin colors, all that stuff, instead of who's qualified for the job. That is a problem. That's always been a problem. And so anyway, with that being said, I think that there's some states still doing this. Some states are going to continue to have their problems. California, New York, Minnesota's being uncovered now. Watch what happens in the coming weeks and months when they really expose this fraud, because it's just the beginning. It's just the tip of the iceberg. with Minnesota. But when they start looking under the cover, when the Small Business Administration starts looking under the cover to all the people and all these little businesses getting huge amounts of money every month to seeing who they're affiliated with, I think you're going to see, oh my God, it's going to be criminal to the highest degree. And it's all good. It's all good that it's coming out, but it creates chaos in the markets. It creates uncertainty. It creates possibly some economic downturn for a little while. But it has to be done. And so we just got to deal with that. And but the good thing about what we do, and the good thing about this, is that we can play it in any direction. Is we can trade long, we can trade short, we can see what's going on, and we can capitalize on it, regardless of whether we agree with what's happening or not. I mean, listen, I'm more libertarian than I am Republican or Democrat. I'm even more freedom, like Ron Paul. Ron Paul back in the day when he wanted to screw lowering taxes. How about we just eliminate them altogether? People laughed at him. I was like, hell yeah. How about we reduce government down to what's absolutely necessary? What do we need?
Sound money.
Yeah, what do we need 1 million departments for? So that was more my thinking. But I made just as much money during the Biden administration, just as much money during the Clinton administration as I did any other. Doesn't matter. I mean, as far as Democrat or Republican in office, you still can make money. That's not the question. Their policies long term are devastating, but it shouldn't stop you from. I think a lot of people think that whoever's in office, whoever's the president, is going to save the world or save them personally. And it's never affected me one way or another, because when you take control of your own economy, it sucks to see other people struggling. It sucks to see the economy go down, or depressions and recessions and all that stuff. But as I always say, during a recession or a depression, there's always someone flying on a private jet, sipping champagne. It's like not everybody is affected by the same things. And what you want to do is you want to insulate yourself from being affected by those same things, not because you want to be above other people, but why suffer if you don't have to? These people aren't suffering. These people making the rules aren't suffering. They're just making the rules in their favor. So anyway, with that being said, guys, where are we going right now in the short term is I'm going to go back down to the daily. We are pumping. Bitcoin is at 90,000. We finally got back above 90 for the first time in a while. We go down even lower to the hourly. But I do see a little problem. This level right here was major support, resistance, support, resistance, and it still could be resistance. Let's see if we get and hold above that level, because we have come up to this level a couple times. This was the last time right here, which was just on December 25th, Christmas Day. We pumped up and then came all the way back down. Here we pumped up back on December 22nd. Oh, I'm sorry. This was December 28th. December 22nd. This one right here was December 17th. So obviously we've pumped up to this level before several times just over the past couple of weeks. We're hitting it right now. We went through it. Look at that. We went through it, and we have another candle on the hourly. It wicked up high. Is it going to come back down below it, or are we going to hold now above that level? Here we wicked through it, came back below. This is the first time we've wicked up that high and then had another candle start above it. So this red candle right now opened above that level and wicked down to it and came back up a little bit. So this is a good sign. it's a good sign that we could be holding that level. And that would ensure that we would be now going to the next level up here, probably somewhere up in the 93 to 96 range.
Nico, I know, like I've seen some people, John was using them on a couple, like Sunday ago with the Bollinger Bands. I've used them for a long time. Um, before they've had all this, I used to use Binance's. Even I would just, when not even log in, I would just use their tools because they had good charts and their Bollinger Bands were really pretty vivid. They weren't like John's when they showed them a Sunday ago, like they were all over the place. On Binance, for instance, they're very streamlined. And I was, with the stock program, Vector Vest for a long time too, and they had a policy, not a policy, but they had a formation where in the Bollinger Bands, when you were just saying when things were riding low down to 30,000 or down to 15,000 and then riding it back up, they have a thing called riding the wave. And in the Bollinger Bands, you can see literally the chart will ride the top of that Bollinger Band, almost like a surfer riding a big maverick wave. And you can just sit there and ride the wave and see how, it stays at the top of the chart and make your money. And then when it starts to drop below, like anything else, you hit the bottom of the crest of the wave, get out. So, I mean, it's just something where, like I said, you guys don't use it a lot, but Bollinger Bands can be beneficial.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, using them, and like I said, go to Binance. You don't even have to log in. You can use their tools. They have, even their, EMAs and different things like that. I used to use them because they were just, more very precise and vivid and not all this noise. Sometimes you see with all these different charts. So I just thought I'd offer.
Yeah. No, they definitely can be helpful. I don't think I have. There they are. Let's see. This is a little different than what you're talking about, but you just got to understand the bands. You have the green zone, the blue zone, the red zone here. Usually when we're up in this zone where we're at right now,
Well, I was just going to say on Binance, it's not so wavy like that. It's almost like they're in like, what are those braces like in mathematics, the braces where it's almost like you're putting parentheses on the top and parentheses on the bottom.
yeah, you
And
can change that.
it's really a simple form of, like some of these are, like I said, I've seen they're all over the place, but these were just very precise. They're very easy on the eyes. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. Basically what it means is that, this is the oversold, this is the overbought level up here. And we're in overbought level right now. I mean, could it go higher? Yes, the price can go higher while we even start to come back down, back into this level. Yeah, I don't use them that much because not because they don't work. It's just that I think there's several other indicators that I've been noticing to really let me know what's about to happen. I'm trying to keep things as clean and less confusing as possible, but yeah, if you ever want to show what you're talking about, maybe create a Loom video or something explaining that, Keith, and then share it in the group. You're welcome to do that. Let's see. We got some questions. Yeah, Keith, people putting no, not Keith, sorry. People adding money back into the market after the first of the year. We're going to have tax returns. People are going to be putting money in, but a lot of the stuff you're seeing in the price of crypto is not really even retail market related. It's not just regular people like us buying and selling that's causing these price cycles, these price pumps and dumps. It's institutional. I mean, this pump just today, all of this that you're seeing from 88K all the way up to 90K. Michael Saylor could buy $80 million worth of Bitcoin all in one shot, and the market hardly moves. I'm just reading some of these messages here. Mel, I need a wave to ride. I'm newer and I'm very confused by the signals and different indicators, strategies. Yeah, there's a lot to learn, Mel. Don't be confused. Keep things simple. You don't need a bunch of indicators or strategies. A signal, a buy signal with a stop loss and a take profit target is not necessarily a strategy. That's just a buy signal, unless it's a scalp. But when I give a scalp signal, I will let you know that it's a scalp. It's short term. It's in and out. It's more risky. Things like that. I usually will. You're not seeing a bunch of signals from me over the last couple of weeks because of where we're at in the market. It's kind of like one of those. Are we going into a bear market, or are we going to have another pump? And since we've been trending sideways now for a few weeks, this whole sideways action from, here to here, we're just now finally looking like we might be breaking that, but it may or may not. We could still be continuing to wind in to this upward trending support and ceiling, where it could just come back down, hit this, come back up, hit that, come back down, hit that, until we finally break out either to the upside or to the downside, one or the other. But this could be it right here, where we finally break out. Get on onboarding, which is after this call at 2:00 for those of you who are brand new. Make sure you get on that. And then obviously the basics call on Wednesdays. Oh, you're talking about that wave. Yeah. Bollinger Bands on the actual chart over the price, the candles. Yeah, that might be a different indicator.
Nico, when do you think that XRP will decouple from Bitcoin?
It's hard to say, but it could have actually just done that. Let me look.
Thanks, man.
I mean, you're going to know, but I mean, XRP is pumping right now, even when Bitcoin's not. But Bitcoin already broke out of its downward trending resistance channel, whereas XRP is just now doing that. Look at that. XRP now what? $1.99. Holy shit. You went up 10 cents in the last couple hours? That's a big candle. And see this white line, this downward trending white line here? We have broken out of that before, like this, and came back down. Came back down. Went through, held above a little bit on this one, and then came back down. Over here, we did it a couple times and came back down. Is this going to be a temporary pump to the $2 range and then come back down, back in? Or are we going to finally hold support? The reason why this time might be different than all of these other times is because we came all the way down to this level first and then held it and then climbed out. Whereas we did that here. Well, this one wicked all the way down to $1.83 right here. And then we did make some higher highs before falling lower. But as you can see here, we had lower highs, lower highs, lower highs before falling lower. We bounced, had a lower high, and then bounced, and had a lower high, and then bounced, and had a lower high. So we had higher lows and lower highs squeezing into an apex, and then it broke to the downside. Here we bounce, and we are having technically higher lows, but we also had a higher high breaking this. So we would need to get above this and hold. This is a little different. So we also broke this resistance right here, which was support here, and even all the way back to here. Support, 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 resistance, resistance, resistance. We broke out of that by a long shot. And now we're kind of still pumping in this daily time frame. Let's go down to the hourly and see what it looks like. Nothing but green candles so far on the hourly. Every hour, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all green so far. It's climbing. I'm up.
Well, what percentage of movement did it do?
I'm up 54% on my long, which is 289 XRP so far. That would be from this breakout here, probably about 6% almost. %, move to the upside. Bitcoin, on the other hand, during the same time frame, I don't think it started there. I think it was right about here, maybe 3%, 2.58%. Yeah, maybe 3%. It looks like it's still accumulating to go up higher. So if we can hold above this level right here, resistance, support, support, resistance, 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 resistance. That's where we're at. If we can hold there, which it looks like it's trying to, we broke through it. We had one candle already hold above it and another candle starting right now. If this candle can make a higher high and we hold above it, that's great. If it cannot and breaks back below, then it's just going to be very similar to these other ones here. I mean, there is a difference. This candle had one candle hold above it so far.
But it's kind of pointless to go long now, right?
Yeah, I would wait now. I would wait to see if it holds above 90. If we can hold at 90 and start to make a higher high, it would look like this. Like it holds here and this starts to climb higher than these wicks right here. That would be a good entry. Because what normally happens is it gets above, it breaks out, retests, starts to get above where it broke out, and then it tries to hold support here. If it can hold support there, then chances are it's going to make a higher high after that.
Would that be something you'd have to watch, or can you set limits, or would that be defeating the purpose?
Me personally, I don't use limit orders. You can. I don't, because this could spike up higher like this, and then have a higher one and then still come down. So if you set a limit order up here for it to go long, as soon as it gets up here, it could trigger your long and then still come down. So what I would want to be watching. I would want to watch and wait and see if it gets higher and holds as support here. So this is the level. It went through and hit this level and then came back down. And if it's holding support here, it's going to look like this, where we're going to have another candle come up above this one and then it needs to hold support here. Once I see that happening, then I'm pretty confident that it will go up higher, and I will put a stop loss right up here somewhere to lock in any gains that I'm in. And then if it does continue to go up from there, it's probably going to go up to this level up here. I'll just continue to manually move my stop loss up. I'm more manual because I'm watching, I'm paying attention. I mean, if you cannot watch, you can use limit conditional orders and things like that, but I would prefer that you know exactly how or why you're doing it, because I've seen limit orders get hit and then people go negative afterwards, and then they weren't paying attention because they set it so that they didn't have to watch, right? And then they come back and look later, and their limit conditional order got triggered, and they're long, and now it hit it like this. It wicked up and hit it, and then came all the way back down, and then now it's all the way down here, and you're very negative here, unless you had a stop loss in place somewhere. So bouncing on this upward trending support line is a good time to go long. Bouncing on this resistance line is a good time to take profit. I was already in a long from 10 days ago. So all it's done for me is come back up to my break-even point. Let me go over here and show you. On USDT. On this breakout, I believe I went long after it retested and started to come back up. I prematurely went long because it did hold above this wick, hold above these wicks. Broke out. It looked like it was holding and starting to climb. And then it fizzled out here and came back down. But it did eventually break out. So I just held. And it finally just coming back up, because I also noticed that we did have some upward trending support here. So to me, it's either going to climb up and eventually get back above this level, or it's going to break to the downside, which in that case, I would just reverse my position. Downside of what? Downside of this level right here. This is like a apex that we're building into, where we have higher lows and a horizontal resistance. So we have horizontal resistance, which is the ceiling right here. We've hit it, come back down, hit it, come back down, hit it, come back down, hit it. Every time we come back down, it's a higher low, but which means we're trending up, trending up, trending up, trending up. And the more it hits this, the more likely it's going to break through to the upside. So to me, it was just a matter of time. But if it doesn't, and this just cannot hold, and it comes back down, and then we break below this for whatever reason and retest, start to fall, then we just can't get back. We just can't get above the 90s. That's all. And we're just going to have more downward trending, or maybe even a continuation of sideways trending action for a while. And it's hard to predict more than a few days out, because something could change on the 15th on the Clarity Act that could cause a big spur, a big buying push in to the market. We also got more ETFs going live when XRP and some other things, which doesn't necessarily affect Bitcoin, except for, believe it or not, a lot of ETFs, Bitcoin ETFs, have been selling Bitcoin and moving that money into new ETFs like XRP and Ethereum and Solana. Good job, Jen. Took profit on XRP. She got in at $1.93, got out at $1.98. It doesn't seem like a big move, but with leverage and the right margin, it can be big. Like I could close this out for a $539 profit right now if I wanted to take it on the XRP trade. And I'm trading on an XRP margin, so I would just make another 275 XRP. I'm trying to accumulate more XRP because I believe XRP is going to be, $10, $20, $100, $250 in the coming year or so. I'm not so sure exactly where that's going to end, but I'm not against having a lot of it at $1,000. I'm not against XRP going to $10,000 someday, $100,000 like Bitcoin, $1 million per XRP. Is that possible? What would the market cap have to be at a $10,000 market cap? I believe that the market cap would have to be like 500 trillion, which is more than all the world's money, right? And some people think that's impossible, but that just depends on whether XRP is settling the transactions for all the world's money or not. And even if it only does 10% or 20% of the world's currency and 10% of the financial institutions around the world use it for that purpose, then it could be $250, $400, $500, $1,000 per XRP. And I know that sounds crazy to a lot of you. That's compared to where the price is right now. But I just can remind you quickly here. We go back and look at good old Bitcoin. How many of you were paying attention back here when Bitcoin was right here at $2, $1.97 per Bitcoin? Right there. And it went up to $7.25 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. And then after that went up to $15.60 in another 10 weeks. And then after that went up to $273 by the end of that same year. So that's $1.98 to $270 in a year. With nothing compared to XRP as far as use case. Utility. So we've seen it happen before. And that by the way, just think about that. That's crazy, right? That's crazy amount of price action in such a short period of time. But since then, since $270, it's done another 100x since then. And then since then, it did another 100x. I mean, guys, you're not even like some people think this is unrealistic for XRP to go to $250, but no. Once the retail market kicks in, and once the institutions and all the banks and all the financial institutions have to start buying on the retail market, you're going to see God candles like you've never seen. If XRP goes to $150, $100, $200, I'm going to be very disappointed in any of you in this group who are not rich. Because it will be your own hesitation, your own Your own choice not to buy it.
Hey, Nico, while you're on the subject of the price of the XRP, are you going to talk about the subject we talked about in DM, or do you want to hold off on that?
Oh yeah, some of you have probably noticed there's a lot of stuff online about Jake Claver and all these different gurus and price predictions and things like that. Jake Claver is he's probably a legitimate guy and a legitimate company and a service that he provides, but he does have a past. And someone, another very popular crypto enthusiast, I should say, I wouldn't say expert, but yeah, maybe. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that just have YouTube channels and Instagram channels and various types of social media that talk about certain things, right? Crypto related. And let me see if I can find this guy. Oh, I guess you sent it to me too. I had it somewhere. There was a un momento, por favor. So I'm going to play this because at the time that we're in, guys, right now, it's important for you to understand the bigger picture rather than just tiny little moves in the market and trading. Don't get me wrong. We need to, some of you need help learning how to just enter a position. I get it. But the bigger money to be made right now is understanding what's about to happen in the financial world. And it would be derelict of duty on my part to just focus on teaching you how to scalp a trade right now, because we have the basics call. We have tons of videos that already teach that. And you can go back and watch the replays of all that stuff. But what I really want you guys to do is be set up and ready for the big moves in the market so that you can make the most amount of money in the shortest period of time. This guy right here, his name is Zach Rector. He's been around for a while as well. In fact, he interviewed Jake Claver. And he's got some concerns. And I want to play it. Some of you may have seen this already. And just to be clear, I have never had a meeting with Jake Claver. I did reach out to his company to invite him to come speak in this group about the strategy and some of the things that he offers, but that was never, we went back and forth for a little while trying to figure out what it was that we did. And they were asking a lot of questions, and they basically, they made it sound like maybe we weren't big enough for Jake's ego to take the time to come talk to us, even though I've seen him get on interviews on YouTube channels that have less followers than me. So I'm not sure why that would be the case, and they didn't say that. It just seemed like that to me, like they wanted me to pay for, him to have a consult with me first and all that stuff. I'm like, listen, dude, if it's a matter of $1,000 to pay him to consult with me, where he could potentially make hundreds of thousands of dollars by offering his service to our, thousands of members in our group, he would be a fool to choose one or that one over the other. But anyway, it never worked out. And I'm kind of glad, because I don't trust many people in this industry. And although he sounds confident in what he's doing, he's been wrong on a lot of things. Obviously, XRP did not go to $100 by the end of 2025. It didn't go to $750, which he said he had a bet for $750 XRP by the end of 2025. That didn't happen. Now he's kicking the can down the road saying, yeah, but it's going to happen in the first quarter of 2026 now because of the Clarity Act and all that stuff. And what he didn't take into consideration was the government shutting down and all that stuff. And that pushed the Clarity Act decision into the new year. All that's true. But this guy right here, he was going to partner with Jake Claver on some things and discovered some interesting lawsuits that Jake Claver had with some other people. Now, I'm not here to talk bad about anybody. I don't have all the facts and the details. And there are 2 sides, 3 sides to every story, right? There's this guy's side, Jake Claver's side, and the truth. So I'm not here to tell you that this is true or that this means anything, but this guy's disgruntled. So actually, rather than me playing this, I will I will send it to anybody who asks for it or cares, but I'll play it for them. I'll just play it.
Video, but today I will be addressing Jake Clapper's lies, fraud, and manipulation. I will not allow my reputation to be attacked or his frauds to continue to be covered up and his manipulation of the XRP community to persist. This is something that I didn't want to have to do, but in my own defense, to clear up any confusion about this whole issue, today's video, we will be addressing mostly three things. One, the lies from Jake and Max Avery, his business partner, to me and how they were trying to use me to promote their businesses, both to raise private equity and also to grow their business, Digital Wealth Partners.
Just for more information here, this guy has a large following on social media. So companies like Jake Claver want to get in bed with these kind of guys because they have a huge audience, and the audience is already crypto savvy, and so they know that if they can work a deal out with this guy, it's just like if I had 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, they'd want me to interview him, and so that they can get some business from my customers and stuff like that. So that's just how companies like his work.
Two, we will address the returns or lack thereof in the Digital Wealth Partner funds. The discrepancies that we are seeing between what Jake is saying publicly about the funds and what investors are sharing with me privately. And third, we will be addressing the manipulation of the XRP community by throwing out ridiculous claims and predictions that are not backed by real insider information, NDAs, and whatever other story he wants to fabricate. I didn't want to make this video, but I hope that this addresses the situation, clears the air, and people can see why I've taken a stance of distancing myself from Jake and his business. And I also will provide solutions on how we can address this situation, how Jake could potentially, set the record straight himself. And I hope that he does the right thing. There's a famous quote that's credited to Mark Twain, which is debated by scholars, but I think that I'm just going to read it off here because it really addresses this issue. And I don't want people to feel like I'm attacking them, whether you're a fan of Jake, whether you're invested with Jake, or even for the employees that work at his company. I want people to understand this, that I was fooled as well. And the quote reads off, "It's easier to fool people than to convince them that they have been fooled." I was fooled into thinking that Jake was an honest man who had good intentions, who was just trying to build his business in private equity when I first met him, and then expanding to financial services that he now offers through Digital Wealth Partners. He fooled me into thinking that he was coming from a good place with the right intentions. And I almost did go into business with them. And the personal issue that I have with him and Max Avery is that they lied to me about their business history, about a lawsuit that involved their private equity dealings when they were trying to use me and get me to come on board to help push and raise capital for their private equity ventures. Now, before we get to the lawsuit that Jake lied to me about, I want to address the public interview that is up on my YouTube channel right now. $100 XRP potential interview with Jake Claver. This aired in March of 2025 this year. This is a prime example of how they used me to grow their platform and also grow their reputation. They knew how trusted I am in the XRP community, which is why they tried to get me on to raise private equity. It's why you tried to get me to come work for Digital Wealth Partners. And in this interview in particular, I have an email correspondence right here that I'm looking at between me and his assistant, Tori, where on February 24th, she sends me an email asking if I have availability to do a podcast with Jake. And then later on, she says, after I confirm, yeah, that sounds good. She says, I will send you an invite and then get an outline for the podcast from Jake. Is there anything specific that you want to talk about? So this was an interview that I thought they had set it up as if I was going to be on his show. And then last minute, the day of, Jake pops on the call and says, oh, I thought this was going to be on your show. And so I had to resend him a link, get him back on a fresh Zoom call so that it could be posted onto my YouTube channel, which at the time I didn't really think anything of it. But now looking back, I realized they had manipulated me into booking this interview that was supposed to be on Jake's show, and then he just played it off and played stupid so that it would air on my platform where he knew it would get a bunch of views and eyeballs, and he knows how trusted and how, you know, I had grown a reputation here in the XRP community. So this is another prime example of how they used me and manipulated me to grow their audience and their reputation and ultimately their businesses. As I mentioned earlier in this video, Jake and Max Avery had fooled me into thinking that they were good guys, just honestly trying to grow and build out their businesses. From the time that I met them at XRP Las Vegas 2023, when I flew out to Dallas to join and collaborate with them on a mastermind meetup, where I brought my community in, he brought his community together, we had a great time. And this led to them then asking me to help them raise capital for their private equity case. So you guys can see.
All right, I'm just going to fast forward a little bit here because apparently there's some court case.
So you guys can see. This is in the Western District of New York. Veryvend versus Jacob Levi Claver and Digital Ascension Group. And we're just going to read off the first part of this. Veryvend owns and operates a payment processing platform for businesses to raise capital, pay distributions, and deploy capital. Veryvend brings this action against its former customers Claver and Digital Ascension for breach of contract, misappropriating Veryvend's name and intellectual property, and making false and libelous statements about Veryvend to third parties that damage Veryvend's goodwill and business reputation. Actions taken by Claver in an effort to cover up his failed attempt to raise capital for other businesses. As part of his cover-up scheme, Claver registered an unauthorized domain using Veryvend's trademarked name, which is confusingly similar to the official Veryvend domain. Claver then created an email address impersonating Veryvend and its employees and used that deceptive email address to manufacture purported Veryvend wire transfer confirmations. Claver also sent emails and text messages to third-party companies with images of purported wire transfers approved by Veryvend and blamed Veryvend for delayed or failed wire transfers. In actuality, however, Claver fabricated the purported wire transfer confirmations and his conversations with Veryvend, which never occurred. Indeed, upon information and belief, although defendants had accounts with Veryvend, they never raised any capital for those third-party companies using Veryvend's platform. Now, before you try to tell me that Jake has already addressed this, please understand that he's lying to you, that this is just some copyright infringement case and it was a misunderstanding. I urge you to go to the public court docket, go to his answer to the complaint, and I want you to go look at everything that he admitted to. Because I've highlighted everything. Anybody that we're supposed to trust. The full docket to this case is free and publicly available. Right at the top.
So when you go look at that, he admitted to that. So I don't want to spend too much time on this, but the point is that Jake Claver is like a trusted authority in the XRP community. He's got videos everywhere, but also I will want to warn you guys that probably 70–80% of all the videos you see with him talking are not even him posting them. So if you look at the actual account, like, see, when you're watching a video like this, look at the actual account that's posted the video. Is that an official account of the person speaking? 90%, 80% of the time, it's not. It's someone else. And there's some red on the screen that says, make sure you transfer your money out of Coinbase and into a Web3 based wallet. DM me for help, right? There's always a DM me for more help on how to do this. And whenever you see that, guys, that's probably someone scamming, using Jake Claver's image and likeness and videos to make it seem like it's him, so that you DM so that they can help you set up a wallet somewhere where they can take control of it. Please don't fall for any of that. Okay. Always ask in this group, me or Chad or somebody first, if you're unsure about whether you should trust somebody or not. Now, we've talked about Jake Claver in the past. We've talked about, he's very confident and he's got connections with all of these different, CEOs of all these multinational corporations that are all using XRP. And he does seem to have been at all the events and talked to all these people and met all these people, including Garling House and everybody, XRP, I mean, Ripple executives and everything. So, however, this does show that he did some shady stuff in the past. And I guess the question is, and then what this guy talks about also, if you want to watch this whole thing, is that the returns and the, you know, some people lost money and stuff like that, is that, do you really need a third party private office to hold your crypto for you so that you can, so that they can invest it on your behalf so that you can get a return? Is there any dividend paying out right now? Jet Claver claims that they're paying 5% per year on your XRP. This guy's saying that there is nobody getting paid that right now, and that there is no service out there and no institution grade level dividend being paid out on XRP yet right now. It's in the works. Things are going to happen. There's going to be, you're going to be able to borrow and loan and use liquidity pools and do something called staking. All that's coming. But do you need to entrust your crypto over to somebody and have them set up a $2,000 LLC and put your, you know, put everything in a holding company and then transfer your assets to open an account at their fiduciary organization so that all that can be stored there while they control it all? I don't know if they control it all or not, but do you need to do all that? No. I can assure you that if XRP goes to $1,000 per XRP and your XRP is sitting on Coinbase, when that happens, you could easily just sell it right on Coinbase and transfer the money to your bank account. That's the way it's always been. And by the way, you selling $100,000 worth of crypto or $500,000 worth of crypto is nothing to Coinbase. Millions of dollars are moved every second on Coinbase. People are transferring 10 million, 20 million, 100 million like it's nothing. So I think a lot of people just think, you know, 100 grand, 500 grand, or $1 million is a lot of money. And it is to most people, but to these institutions, it's nothing. So don't think, oh, I got $100,000 of XRP. They're going to steal my XRP. No, they don't care about your $100,000 in most cases. Now, is it safer on a cold storage wallet? Yes, as long as you're safe. As long as you know how to keep your records and keep your seed phrases and all that stuff out of harm's way, then yeah, it's safer in your own hands. That's like taking cash out of a bank and putting it in a shoebox and burying it in your backyard. As long as you're the only one that knows where it's at and you actually remember where you buried it, because you can be in total control of your money and have no idea where it's at, and no one else would know either, right? Because you forgot. Like the stories we see all the time about these guys who had, you know, 800 Bitcoin on a wallet and they forgot their password. And now they have, there's the one guy who was on the news the other day. He has 10 attempts at his password before it's locked permanently. And he's on attempt number 8, and he's got like 800 Bitcoin. And so he's freaking out because he doesn't know what his password is, and he's only got 2 more tries. What do? You can't get help really from anybody. You got to remember your password. And so when you guys take total control and custody of your own crypto, you have to be diligent in making sure that you're redundant. Okay, you got your 24-word seed phrase written down on a piece of paper. Maybe you make a copy of that, and then you put that somewhere else in a safe place, in a safe or something, or hide it somewhere, just in case the first one gets lost. But you don't take a screenshot picture of it on your phone and store it in your regular photos on your phone, because if your phone gets stolen or lost, someone could then, or you take your phone to get it serviced at one of these phone repair companies, and they scroll through your pictures because you're a pretty girl and they want to see if you got any hot bikini pics in there. Don't think that's not happening at the cell phone repair store or at Apple when you hand your phone over to them to go see if they can fix some glitch in your cell phone. Don't think the little kids behind the scenes aren't looking through your stuff. Oh, what is this? A 24-word seed phrase. Oh, for Coinbase. Interesting. Or for a wallet. Don't think that these little tech geniuses can't figure that out. They'll take a screenshot of your screenshot, save it in their phone for someday when they're alone at home and they want to figure out how to steal your crypto. Guys, be careful. Don't trust anybody in this and anywhere. I hate to say it, but that's the life. That's the world we live in. But
well, Nico, what I would say too is, I just called Wells Fargo yesterday for something, and they still use like say this speech, your name is your password. And I'm like, can you take that off with AI and everything else? I was just on a course like 2 or 3 weeks ago for Anik Zignel about cloning yourself for posting and stuff. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. Like all his posts, hundreds, you can't tell the difference. There's so many different softwares now that you can just clone yourself and have that post. And so these guys, they can be you, or they can
That's right. Guys,
pretend they can be you, Nico, or
that's
anybody.
right.
I mean, and its technology has been around for a few years, but now it's just anybody can use the technology out there to just clone yourself. And so they can get into your bank account, they can get into your, crypto, but obviously you need the seed phrases. But the banks are trying to really catch up. Like Coinbase and these things are really like more ahead of the game for security, because I got hacked a couple of years, 4 or 5 years ago, and it was T-Mobile, and it was an inside job, and they ported my SIM card over, and I called them up, and they literally kind of like an hour later I got it back, but I had already honestly taken a lot of money off of my Nexo because of like 2 months before I just prayed about it. I took everything off. So they stole like a quarter of a Bitcoin when Bitcoin was like 8 grand, and they stole ETH. But the next morning, I think I told you, T-Mobile in California, T-Mobile store owner was being arrested for selling hundreds of thousands of SIM cards. And so it's these, what I do,
Yeah.
like I said, since then, I have a separate phone that's just my finances. But even if I have an app on one phone, the authentication is on the other phone, so that if I go in a store, they can't get into my, crypto apps and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
just an FYI.
No, I appreciate that. And that's good information, guys. And that's true. I mean, you guys, if you ever get these phone calls out of the blue from unknown numbers and you answer and you say hello and no one's there and you keep saying hello, hello, these could be people trying to just get your voice. They could be. They have no intention of saying hello to you. They just want you to say something.
I always answer in a British accent.
Yeah. Yeah, you can mess with them, but at the same time, guys, it's a scary world we live in, because unfortunately, some of these scammers are very clever, and if they use their powers for good, they could probably make a fortune in regular, legitimate business. But instead, they focus on scamming people, because scamming people is very lucrative, obviously. And Chad and I have determined that some of these guys, some of these scammers, when Chad was pretending to be a victim, I don't know if you guys ever watched that video Chad did, and he posted it in the mastermind group. But Chad was pretending to be a customer who needed help. He called the actual number on the text he got saying your Coinbase wallet was compromised. He actually pretended like he went along with everything they were asking for a while until he finally told them. But the wallet address that the guy gave Chad to send or to move stuff, there's a way to see on the blockchain how many transactions that wallet address has received. And these guys are making hundreds of thousands of dollars in a month scamming people. So, and no one knows who they are, where they're at. Once the scam is over, you have no way of really finding out who you just spoke to. And they're very convincing. So like I said before, I have a close relative, my brother's ex-wife, very wealthy woman. She made money herself in her own business and built up this huge business, but she really doesn't understand how to do most anything else. She was very good at what she did, but she's been so out of the loop and out of technology and out of out of the internet game for so long that everything's confusing to her. And she got scammed. She got scammed on Coinbase, on one of those Coinbase scams, and they took all of her XRP. And then she called me. She was embarrassed to tell me, because she remembered me warning her about these things, but she thought it was legit because it looked like it came from Coinbase. So with that being said, guys, just be very careful. You don't need to trust anybody. Let's just make the money first. And then you can figure out what to do with it after that. Can you set up LLCs and holding companies and all that stuff? Yes. It's good when you're taking possession of the money. Okay. So in other words, if you got $1 million sitting on Coinbase and you want to withdraw it to your bank account, you want to cash out and withdraw that money to your bank account, is your bank account going to freeze your checking account or your savings account because you've never had that much money in there before, and all of a sudden you're transferring $1 million from a crypto account into your checking account? Your average daily balance is $1,500 and all of a sudden you got $1 million coming in? That's going to raise a red flag. So what you should do is, and it's going to be, and it's very difficult for you to send it to a business account, because if you go to try to add a business account to Coinbase, it's not going to allow you to add that as a linked bank account, because it's not in your name. It's in a business account name. So you would literally have to set up a separate account at Coinbase in the business name, and then get your wallet address for your business, and then transfer your crypto from your personal account to your business account inside of Coinbase, and then withdraw it. So there's all kinds of strategies. There's all kinds of ways to do it. Or you just go to your bank, have a meeting with them, sit down with a banker and say, listen, I got a lot of money sitting in Coinbase. I'm getting ready to transfer it to my checking account. I wanted to come in and ask you first if I'm going to have any problems. Make sure they clear it. Make sure that you've already let them know that you're getting ready to have a big influx of money coming in out of the blue, so that it's not red flag, so that they already know where it's coming from. That way, that will save you a lot of problems in the future, having to go prove all this stuff to them, because they're very suspicious. Banks are always dealing with fraud and stuff like that, right? So and someone who just has no money on average throughout the year, all of a sudden coming into a lot of money, is very suspicious to them, right? So you just got to think ahead of that stuff. This is a good problem to have, so don't overly worry about it. It's better to have a lot of money than not. It's better to have a shitload of crypto sitting somewhere and then be worried about how to access it than to not have it. So this is a hurdle we can get over when that time comes. But there are ways to do all that stuff. And so don't overly worry about it. Another thing you do is you can just sell little bits at a time as you need it, if you wanted to, if you're selling. You can also borrow against it and all that stuff, but we'll worry about that when the time comes. That's a good problem to have. Let's all get to that problem. If you've already got a business account, what I was going to say is, if you already have bank accounts that are in LLC's names, business entity accounts, that's where, and those business accounts are used to seeing much more money come and go than your regular personal accounts. That's how most people operate out of their entities and their LLCs. Very little goes into their personal accounts. And so in that case, it would be better for you to transfer large sums into your business account, especially if it's seasoned, meaning you've already been doing business for a while and that bank already has seen lots of money come and go. Then you won't have any problem moving large amounts into your business account. And so those are things we can talk about on future calls. We got the onboarding coming up here in 15 minutes. I got another call I got to get on that I'm 15 minutes late to, but I always end up going long on these. But let's just look real quick. Any other last minute questions, but you can ask. But somebody was raising their hand. I'm sorry, who was it? Darren or Daryl? Let me see. Somebody had their hand raised here.
Yeah, it was Daryl.
Yeah, go ahead, jump on out.
Quick question for you. Someone else that I followed mentioned something on tagging our crypto if we were moving it from A to B, and just something that I was unfamiliar with. Could you shed any light on that?
I'm not sure exactly what they're referring to by tagging. It does. I think there is memo tags that you can put on certain things like Ethereum and XRP when you're sending it from one wallet to another. So when you go to transfer, now some wallets don't require it. Like if I'm transferring from Coinbase to my Decent cold storage wallet, let's just say, there is a section for a memo tag, but it says optional. And it's optional because it's only required if the receiving party requires it. If you're the receiving party, then you don't necessarily have to require a tag from your own transfer, right? But some accounts require it, so you would have to put a tag there. But there's a number generated already for that, automatically generated by Coinbase to enter the tag number, so that when it gets to the other end, they can confirm that it was from the person. And that's only because some accounts get so many transfers, they have to be able to track it, and they use that memo tag for that, if that's what you're referring to. But I use it every once in a while when it's required, but I don't always.
Just before joining Crypto Renegades, I was the victim of that wonderful little scam, but at least I was lucky enough to have red flags early. So I only lost a very, very small amount, but still. When he mentioned tagging, it was just something that I was curious if it was something that could help prevent or maybe help anyone else so they don't have to endure that same wonderful ordeal.
Yeah, and I'm sure it would be beneficial. You know, if you give all the information and everything that the scammer needs, they'll have all the tags, all the numbers, all the account passwords and 6-digit codes and everything that you give them. Then there's really nothing you can do. There's people that are suing Coinbase right now because they got hacked and their money got stolen off of Coinbase, and they're suing Coinbase. But Coinbase wins the lawsuit because it wasn't Coinbase that got hacked. It was you that got hacked. It was your internet browser or your home IP, your Wi-Fi or whatever. Somebody hacked your personal home computer, got in, and was able to see all your logins and everything. And then they went on Coinbase and transferred the money because they logged in as you. And it's not Coinbase's fault then that happens. Coinbase always warns people about that. So be very careful about your own security at your own house and who you trust. Yeah, don't fall for any text message you get from Coinbase saying, hey, was this you? We click confirm or click this link below to confirm it's you trying to transfer money. You're going to immediately say, I wasn't trying to transfer money. What's going on here? And you're going to click that button or call that number. And then you're talking to a scammer pretending to be a Coinbase. So please, Coinbase never sends those texts ever. What they do is they'll send an email, and the email will be easily determined that it's Coinbase because all you got to do when you get an email, guys, is look at the sender. And unfortunately, these scammers don't hide that. It's gonna have a Coinbase logo. It's gonna have all the jargon that you would expect from Coinbase. But if you look at the sender, it says Philip Johnson XYP XXXX@gmail.com. I'm assuring you right now that you're not going to get any email from Coinbase from Philip Johnson at Gmail. So you got to look, and sometimes they're sending it to 300 people at the same time. So you're joined into a group text just to see who takes the bait. They don't even care. They're not even trying to hide that there's, you know, they're just hoping people are stupid enough to not notice that stuff. So be very careful. Oh yeah, Mesto, a lot of them come from an Outlook account. You're not going to get a real email from Coinbase from an Outlook, a Gmail, or Yahoo, or any kind of email server. It's going to come from Coinbase at coinbase.com. And but don't click on it until you do research and make sure and ask people and call Coinbase. go to their actual website, log into your actual account and click the customer service link and actually chat with them and see if there was a problem first before you respond to any emails or text messages. Chances are they're going to warn you. Nope, that's a scam. Sorry.
Hey, Nico.
Yes.
This is Scott and Julie. We just joined you a couple weeks ago.
Hey, Scott and Julie, welcome.
Thank you.
Hey, we got a question about we used your link. I've day traded for about 15 years, but we're new to crypto, so we joined your referral link for Phemex, and
Okay.
so that allowed us obviously to not go through the KYC process.
Yes.
Something interesting to us is the only do we need to verify our identity with them so they know who owns it? Because the only thing in the account when that opens up is an email address and a UID.
Yeah,
Looks like
UID. And your login passwords and possibly Google authentication in order to log in. So if you try to log in from a different server, you might have a problem. But so there's a benefit to not KYCing, and that's privacy. And then there's the benefit to KYCing, which is also privacy and security. So I'm KYC, just so you guys know, I'm KYC'd on Phemex and Coinbase and all of these, because back when I first opened my Phemex account 5 years ago, you had to KYC. And I didn't personally care. I'm not trying to hide anything, but there are a lot of people in this group who want their sovereignty, they want their privacy, and if you don't have to KYC, It could be good to keep things decentralized, but I also don't keep a lot of money on Phemex. When I make a profit, I transfer it out.
You transfer it out to a cold wallet? Is that what
Yeah.
you're saying?
For crypto that I'm holding long term, I transfer it to cold storage. If I need, I don't think I've sold crypto in years. I haven't sold any. So there's no reason for me to sell it or transfer it back to my bank account. So, yeah, I'm sending it to cold storage, and Decent is one of my wallets that I use right now. I do have some older ones, but the main one right now is that. I also have things on Coinbase and crypto.com and a couple other platforms, but I try not to keep as much there. But I'm not against Coinbase.
So we were just talking about that trust and that security thing. We were trying to learn as much as we can as fast as we can because we're new to the crypto space. And we thought the best thing would be to do is to transfer from Coinbase to Phemex and Phemex to a cold wallet. Now you got two transfers there, the cost of two transfers, but that creates more privacy.
Yeah.
Going that route versus just going from Coinbase to a cold wallet, since Coinbase is highly regulated, and KYC, that whole perspective with Coinbase. So
I was worried about privacy. I'd go right to a wallet, and then I'd go to another wallet, and then maybe another wallet, and wash it out. That's the way to really be private. Besides something like Bisq, which you can. But that's beyond this call for sure.
Yeah, there's ways to scramble wallet addresses, and this is what scammers do. They scramble it. They take your money, they have you send it somewhere, and they immediately scramble it to 10 other wallets. Their way, it's almost impossible to track down at that point. But there is a way, guys, to be super secure. But I will tell you that Google Authenticator and facial recognition software, for instance, which I use on Coinbase, I can't log in. I can't transfer anything. No one can go into my Coinbase account and transfer without facial recognition, without, doing what's called a passkey. The passkey for me is my facial recognition. Even if I do it on my computer, it pulls up a screen where I have to look into a camera. Okay. So unless they kidnap me and they're using my face, I'm not overly worried about it. And I have not ever had any problems yet. But I also have, major McAfee, malware and software security system on my home PCs. And so just make sure you're careful with all that. But yeah, I mean, you can get overly paranoid about this and really, really secure. Another thing you can do is just make sure your trading PC is the only thing you're using it for. Like a laptop, you buy a new laptop and you only use it for your crypto related stuff. As soon as you're starting to, click links and buy stuff on Amazon and click on links all over the place on social media, and now you got all of these pop-up windows and stuff coming on to that PC, you have people that could be breaking into your security or getting access to your computer. And then they see that you have all these saved passwords logging into all these other accounts. So you might want to just use a separate computer, whether it's a desktop PC or a laptop, for anything crypto related, separate from all the other activity you do online.
So when it comes to security with Phemex, we've got the benefit of a little bit of anonymity. We're not paranoid about.
Yeah, Phemex, as Bill says in the chat, Phemex is constantly reminding you to verify. They do. Right. You got to verify a lot.
Right. We got the benefit of not doing KYC, but is that secure? Because we'd followed your instructions, but it doesn't really tell us in your instructions.
2FA, do Google Authenticator at a minimum. Do Google Authenticator.
We have that.
Or a different authenticator, and then make sure you've backed up your authenticator.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's about as safe as you're going to get.
And just having it as an email address and a user ID with Phemex is good enough.
I mean, you're so secure that even Phemex doesn't know who you are.
Right.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is from the flip side, it looks like nobody's claiming that account except some email address with a user ID somewhere.
Yeah, but they don't report. They don't report to the IRS. They don't report to any government agency. So that data just stays private. It's just your information. You just don't want to lose it yourself because you are responsible for your funds.
And I'm mainly talking about from Phemex, like not knowing who this person is. I'm not worried about the IRS and any of that stuff. I'm more
They
talking
don't care.
about.
They don't care who you are. They don't care who the money is as long as it's making money on their exchange and transaction fees.
Yeah. Them knowing who you are just opens them up to be, if they were investigated or they had some kind of order put against them to verify certain accounts, they wouldn't be able to tell any authority who you were. That's one way to look at it. The other option is to KYC if you want, if it makes you feel better.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with it, by the way. I've personally interviewed, you can go on my YouTube channel. I interviewed the CEO of Phemex. I have an interview YouTube on my video on my YouTube channel. Phemex was started by Jack Tao, who was a Morgan Stanley executive. And they're one of the largest decentralized platforms on the planet right now, corporate offices in Singapore and in Dubai. And they do a lot of volume. I think it's like $54 million USD per day, but a lot of trading volume back and forth in and out, but I think it's billions that they have in reserve. So I'm not, again, I don't store a lot there, guys. Accumulate, you want to build your trading account, that's fine. You should move some profits off, but there was a time when I had 6 figures in Phemex, but I don't anymore. And it's not because I don't trust Phemex. It's because certain coins that I just don't want to risk trading anymore. Like I don't really want to, I still have XRP in Phemex and I'm along right now and I'm on an XRP margin, but I only maybe have 1,000 XRP in there, which is not a lot. I'm not holding a ton of it there. So I guess you just have to base that on your own comfort level. But I know guys who have millions of dollars sitting on their Phemex and on their, their Bybit trading accounts and their MEXC trading accounts. Just $1 million sitting in there like it's nothing.
And they're not KYC?
No. They're using VPNs on top of that.
Jeez.
Because only they can log in, only they can get access. But no one else can know who they even are. And this is what crypto was eventually created for, is to be decentralized to the point where if you go on the blockchain, you can see millions of dollars moving around from wallet to wallet, and no one knows who these people are. They can track the wallet and they can see that, this wallet moved this much money to this wallet, but they don't know who it is doing it.
Yeah.
So that just depends on you. I know it's not the norm from what you're used to in the centralized space. Over the last 20, 30 years, 40 years, but it is in the decentralized world. People want privacy and you have a right to it.
I love the freedom movement and the anonymity and the fact that they're, moving toward potentially a no income tax and all that stuff. We'll see how that plays out. But coming back to the anonymity, I love that. The only thing that made us a little insecure was the fact that it was just a random email address, not random, it's ours, and a user ID, and no real claim to it to an actual person. And then potentially if Phemex ever got squeezed or something, it's easier to lose those accounts than it is your account that has your name on it and your credentials connected to it. So we didn't want
I'm going to fly out. Even Chad just chimed in the chat. He says he keeps about 100K at all times in Phemex. Buy ETH with my profits, move it offline, cold storage, no issues. So that's, and I'm telling you guys, that sounds like a lot of money, but there's people with a lot more on there than that. So in fact, even our concierge and people that we talk to at Phemex have millions, some of them tens of millions. So I'm going to fly out and meet with them in person one of these days. Been invited already, and Chad says not KYC'd either. So I wouldn't worry too much about it, guys. This is safer. By the way, all the problems that have been had over the last decade, all the times when accounts got shut down or went into default or defunct for whatever reason, in Chapter 13, Chapter 11, they were all centralized exchanges, not decentralized.
So if we ever have a problem and have to talk to somebody, do we How do we talk?
Oh, customer support, customer service in Phemex is top notch. And we also have our own concierge. So you just let us know.
So then are we identifying ourselves through support? Is that not, we're not worried about that. We just,
You're already identified. If you used our referral link, you're already identified as a Crypto Renegades VIP member. So you're going to get special white glove treatment from them. But we do have a concierge. And if you ever have an issue, I can give you her email address.
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys, it's 2:03, by the way. The onboarding has started. So if you're brand new, make sure you got on that. Bill posted a link in the Zoom chat and in the Discord. If you go into Discord, guys, and you go to, if you go to the announcements channel, there it is right here. Bill posted it, onboarding right there. If you go to the trade chat, there it is right here. Bill posted it right here. And he also posted it in the Zoom that we're on right now. So get over there if you're brand new. And I'm going to wrap it up. We got another call to get on. But as you can see here, guys, this is all good news today. We got some pumping action. XRP broke out of the downward trending channel so far. Is it going to hold? That's another question. I'm watching it right now. We did hit the $2 mark right here. No, $1.9966. Wow. I mean, we're hit it. But are we going to come back down and retest now and bounce and come back up? We're hoping that that happens. I'm up on these two trades that I gave. These signals were obviously from the 22nd, but I did in my signal channel, I did talk about those and update them throughout the last week and reshared it this morning as well. So this could just be a temporary pump, but it could be also something good going into the new year. And hopefully this is the breakout we've been waiting for. I still think we're going to get to max pain on Bitcoin at 96K, maybe up to 100, XRP to $2.205 here, and probably maybe going into the weekend. I don't know. We'll see.
Nicola, look at the XRP at 10 minutes. Is that a flag?
Say that again. Say that one more time.
XRP on the 10 minute.
I can't hear you breaking up.
XRP on the 10 minute.
Okay, 10-minute. Yeah, here we are. What's the question?
Is that a bull flag?
It was a bull flag.
Well, yeah, right now it's actually hitting on a resistance line at 197.81, and it's just bouncing up and down on that at the 1 minute. It's just bouncing up and down.
Yeah, this is the resistance at $2 that it hit, $1.99. That's the resistance right there. That's the downward trending lines that I just showed you on the higher time frames. And it could be a bull flag. Let's see. It might be dropping a little bit now that it hit the $2 range. But if this is a bull flag or a falling wedge type situation, it could look like this, and we could break to the upside, and we could see a nice big pump above. That is a bull flag so far, but that would bring us right up to the 205, 206. If that happens, which is what I predicted we would probably get to, which is the top right here, this red line. I have my take profit up here at 205 on that one. I mean, I'm going to watch it closely, because if it does start to get up to that, I will move my take profit out of the way and move my stop loss up to probably $2.02, because if it continues to go through the 205, then I don't want to be taken out of the trade. That's the only reason why I would move my take profit target. But yeah, that's a bull flag for now, but it does look like it might be coming back down to retest this $1.95 right here, this line right here that it broke out of. It may not drop that low. Hopefully not. Hopefully we break to the upside here. But yeah, thanks for pointing that out. Scam alert just came from my Mesto. This is what it looks like, guys. Robinhood, your withdrawal code is, if this wasn't you, call this number. They want you to call that number, guys. That's the scam. Please don't fall for it.
Or if you want to entertain yourself for 30, 40 minutes, call them and fuck with them, because man, is it fun. It is really fun to mess with them.
Yeah.
Lead them on. Tell them you got like 300K in your Coinbase account or your Robinhood account, and act like you don't know what you're doing. They get real excited, and then they finally think that they're going to get the money, and then you just start messing with them, and man, they get so pissed. It's actually a really good time. Free entertainment.
Yeah, just don't give them any valid information. Marcus, I got your message. Let's see. Did it work for you? If you want to chime out, let me see.
Yeah, so I sent them a message. Basically, what's happening is that
when you go to reset the 2FP or whatever it is on the login, you go to this form and it asks you for a description as well as all the KYC information. So I sent you the letter that I sent them, and now I'm just waiting for getting your response. So
okay. Yeah, and to the gentleman's point that I was just talking to a minute ago, was that BA King? So Marcus here dealing with a very similar situation where he got locked out of Phemex, and then what was it for? I can't remember. Inactivity or something?
No. I dropped my phone in the ocean.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, it's just been a bit of a challenge here. And I was concerned about putting my KYC stuff in because I haven't never had to do it ever. So,
right.
I'm glad you reached out to them, and hopefully they'll get it sorted out. So,
yeah. So he was worried because they were asking him the KYC, but Marcus has been with us for a long time before he even used our referral link. So he used the VPN back in the day, I believe. And then, so then I reached out to our concierge, made sure that they understood that Marcus was with us. So they fixed it so he didn't have to KYC, but now you got to set up your two-factor authentication. It looks like is what you're dealing with. So yeah, I'll get you taken care of.
Cool. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. And then did I hear you correctly say that when you're trading XRP, you're getting your profits in XRP as well, not USD anymore?
That's correct. I trade on a XRP margin.
On Phemex?
Yes.
Okay, so they added that. Cool. Okay, I didn't know they could do that. Excellent.
They not only added XRP, but about 10 other cryptos. So if I go up here, you can see if you click on coin margin, BTC, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, SUI, ADA, Cardano, Link, and AVA. All of these can be traded on a coin margin.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's fantastic.
And we do have a little bit of a bounce here on the bull flag. So hopefully it's holding there at that bottom line. So hopefully we get a breakout to the upside. If so, I'm looking for an additional pump today, probably up into the $2.05 range. All right, guys. I got to run. Any other questions? Chad, you got anything you want to add?
No, sir.
Let's see.
Great call, Chad, by the way, on Tuesday. It was awesome.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Daryl asked, hold on one second. Daryl asked, Nico, you were saying that if BTC reached 89K, that there was over a 1 billion in shorts that were going to be lost. If I remember this correctly, and I saw that it reached 89K yesterday, just curious if that happened and what more to expect. Yes. So let me just real quickly go over this. Guys, I posted the other day over here. Sorry, I'm on Marcus. So in my trade signal channel, I posted about the Bitcoin options expiry on Friday, and what would happen over the next coming days is that max pain's at 96K, meaning the market makers would make more money if they pumped Bitcoin up to 96K. However, the sweep could bring it as low as 76K and XRP to $1.65, but the market makers make more money if they move the price up, not down. My prediction is Bitcoin to 100K and XRP to 205. So this was the reason why. Calls are clustered. Calls, meaning longs on the options market, the stock market, clustered at 100 to 120K. Puts are concentrated at 85K. These are the shorts. Max pain 96K. One of the biggest Bitcoin options expiry ever. Okay. Now that expired last Friday. This is a week later now, and we might just start seeing the market move towards liquidating some of these. Let's just go to the liquidation heat map. Let's look at it right now on BTC, USD, perpetual. I think we did come up and slice through all of this liquidity up here right now at the 90K. So we hit 90K today, Daryl. We went past that 88K. So we hit 90K, but now we do have some liquidity down here at 88. But I think that we might keep pushing up, to be honest with you, up to, this is kind of strange right now, actually, what I'm seeing here, but I think we might even get up into this range up here. This liquidity heat map's not even representing this is the liquidity heat map on Bitcoin futures, on the futures side of things. It's not even representing the the options expiry. So it's hard to say by looking at this, but I'm thinking 96K for Bitcoin, which would bring XRP up here to about the $2.05 range. And look, we are pumping to the upside right now in this bull flag on XRP at $1.98. It's going to probably break through here. So this does look like a nice bull flag. That might be a good entry point for those of you who missed this pump, but I would wait for it to break above $2 and hold.
That's where I'll be going short from.
Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't hold, I mean, it already hit it right here. It hit $2, $1.99 right here. But if it breaks above that and holds, and then it might climb. But I'm thinking 205 up somewhere up here. And why there? If I zoom out, you'll see this is the overall downward trending channel that we've been in this whole time. We just broke out of the white line, which is the lower end of the resistance. We have gotten above it and the blue line before a couple times and came back in. And but if we do get above the blue line right here, and we get up to that $2.05 that I'm talking about, that was major support and resistance going all the way back to a year ago, December of 2024. And if we get above that, then we might be ready to finally break out and climb up to these higher numbers. That's my opinion.
I'd love to hear why Chad said he was going short if it hits $2.
Well, because he got the pump from, I mean, it pumped from $1.80 all the way up to $2. That's a big move to the upside. That would be like a 10%, 12% pump. And there's it could be resistance there, like here. I mean, this is below this level. As you can see, look at this one right here where we dropped and we came up to $2 and bounced and came back down. But I'm just saying, if we break through that and hold a support, then I'm just going to stay in it long.
Sure.
Hey, Nico.
Yes.
Real quick, this is BA again.
Yeah.
What subscription plan are you using on TradingView there?
I'm on pro level, which I think is like $20 a month or something like that. I'm not sure.
All they have is Essential, Plus, Premium, and Ultimate.
What are the prices?
$12.95, $28.29, $56.49, and $199.95
$199 is a year or a month?
per month.
Yeah, that's I must have I've had mine for a long time. Yeah, I thought it was called Pro, but they might have changed their pricing since then. So somewhere probably what was the it's the one I needed. Yeah, you need to be a professional account because certain indicator bundles like Market Cipher, for instance, you need to be on the higher level in order to be able to upload indicators from other outside sources. So I would say somewhere in the $20, the $29 range, whatever that one is. That's probably the one. But you don't necessarily need that. I mean, you can use the free version.
Yeah. I was just looking at the indicators that was included and seeing what you're using for indicators and just wasn't sure what.
Yeah. If you ever want to get Market Cipher, which is in our it's in our recommended links or official links channel in our Discord. That's a separate paid service from someone else, not us, but it's probably one of the better indicator bundles that you can get. It's like $1,500 lifetime license, and you would need to be the pro account on TradingView in order to have that.
So one of these is a professional account. You're saying it's
name the names again.
The smallest is Essential, then the next is Plus, the next tier is Premium, and then Ultimate.
I would say Plus would be fine for now until I don't think you're going to need more indicators than that.
Yeah. There's a bunch of them. I mean, I've been involved in indicators for 15 years, so
yeah, whatever you think you need and whatever fits your budget. I mean, everybody's different. I don't know what your finances are like, but to me, if you're taking this serious and you're going to be a professional trader and you're going to take this serious, you got to have the right tools, guys. And but I started trading on one of those Dell desktop PCs that the monitor was like 3 feet long in the back. It looked like a big giant box. You remember those? And
yeah.
So, you don't need to have fancy stuff to get good at this and to learn. You can make a lot of money just from your cell phone, from your iPhone, once you understand what you're doing. But if you really want to have all the good stuff to help, then TradingView is, I have a TradingView account. I have that on a separate screen. I have my Phemex on one screen. I have Market Cipher on my TradingView. I had to upgrade my TradingView in order to have Market Cipher. And so that's pretty much it. I don't use a ton of indicators. I use stochastic RSI, the Gaussian channel you see me look at every once in a while, which we are currently below. And we'd need to get above 95K in order for us to get back in above that. But yeah, I mean,
so you think the professional level to allow Cipher is either premium or ultimate?
it's got to be one of those two, because I think it's I'm on $20 a month. I'm on $19.95 a month with them, but I've had it for 10 years, so I'm not sure what they've changed since then.
Yeah, you're grandfathered in it. I mean, that potentially could be the $56 one right now.
That's why I asked you if it was yearly or monthly, because I think I pay for the year, like $200 and some dollars a year.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys, I got to run. If you have any other questions, ask it in the main chat in Discord or send a DM if it's urgent. Otherwise, ask it in the main chat or in the help desk, because Bill is in the help desk, usually responds very quickly. If you need technical support, if you're brand new, make sure you're on his onboarding call and just go through the material in the school. And we'll be keeping an eye on things over the weekend here, because obviously there's movement in the market, and we got the Clarity Act. It's probably going to be passed on the 15th. We'll talk about that before the time comes, but that could be a big rush into crypto from that. So looking forward to see what happens there. And as far as XRP decoupling from Bitcoin, we'll know when that happens. You will know when that happens. When we have a big pump on XRP and Bitcoin doesn't move and the charts don't look the same anymore, that's when it's decoupled. It'll happen eventually. All right, guys, have a great have a great new year. First of all, we're going to all have a good new year. We're all in the right spot at the right time. Oh yeah, German says there was a Black Friday special. Sometimes they give TradingView gives specials where you get a big discount, and a lot of people jumped in on that. It was Black Friday, and I think it was like slashed 80% off or something. So if there is not one, I wouldn't worry about it. But other than that, guys, if you want to get Market Cipher, just use my referral link in our discount, and I mean in our official links channel, because whatever discount they're offering will automatically be applied if you use my referral link. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. I will see you in the chat, and have a good weekend. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Nico.
Right on. You too.
All right, guys.